Hey, folks, here we are. How do I got three on there? Oh, there we go. Anyway, today I have a guest on where we go back many, many years. He trained me. He was a fill-in FTO. I had three primary FTOs, and when they took time off, he covered for him. And he spent 30 plus years at the sheriff's office. A great guy, retired as sergeant, and I thought I'd bring him on because Rich, he's gallivanting around the world somewhere on vacation in a secret location somewhere, and he's off. So anyway, Sergeant Mike McGhee.
How you doing?
How you doing? Hey, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely, Curly. Anything for you, buddy.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and to let people know, I actually reached out. I still had his cell phone number in my phone, and I saw a post on Facebook where he had some medical issue, and I was a little concerned. I go, well, I'll try this number, and it worked, and here it is, and now he's on the show. So
I've had the same phone number for about 25 years.
Yeah. Since they invented cell phones, correct?
Yeah, when they had the big brick. You remember those big bricks they had? Yep.
Yeah, the suitcase phone. They had those. I had a suitcase phone when I signed up first for Verizon, and what a lug it was. It's not like we got today.
No.
Not anywhere close. You couldn't do text messages. You could only call.
That's right.
And then back in the day, when you were showing me the ways, we used to have to stop at Circle K's. If dispatch wanted us to call or we needed to make a phone call, we had to stop at a Circle K and go in the office and use their phone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's no calling from the car like that. You know, I mean, it's just had to touch a button and they're talking to. We had to go find some place to talk.
Yeah. We also didn't have computers in the cars, did we?
I had a computer in my car like maybe 2-3 years after, right before I retired. But no, we didn't have computers in the car.
I remember being on FTO, handwriting reports, giving them to my training officer, whoever it was, getting corrections done, and then getting handed a bottle of whiteout to make some corrections, to the point that one of those sheets of paper weighed a pound with just solid whiteout. So I just said, screw it, I'm going to write over. Start all over again.
Absolutely. We hand wrote every single thing, and FTO would come through and on purpose, instead of just saying change this, they'd red mark everything. So you'd have to write the whole thing over again. Some of them did. I never did that.
Yeah. Yeah, we had that happen a lot. And then the admin staff at the District 1, where I went through and you were guiding me on those days, we had white patrol cars, 1996s, and every day the lieutenant, who shall remain nameless, would go out there and inspect the cars. He'd see a scratch, he'd want it in the book, he'd want to know what happened, even just a tiny scratch. And I remember one time Keith Frakes was a sergeant. Oh, I shouldn't have said his name, but anyway, he was a sergeant, and I had backed into a guide wire out on Chrisman Road, a guide wire for a pole. I didn't see it. It's nighttime. And I told him about it. I said, You want me to write that in the book? And it was just a little tiny scratch. He hands me one of those Sheriff Joe, let Sheriff Joe make you a star bumper stickers. Goes, go put that on the car. We did have some ways around things and creative minds and outside of the box thinking. And I wanted to get you on to talk about the changes at the office and what we used to take care of then and what doesn't get taken care of now.
Yeah, absolutely. When I came on, it was in 1987, and we had the Caprices and just a little star on it. That's all he had, and maybe sheriff on the back of the car. That was it. We were lucky to have air conditioning.
Yeah, there were a few times that the air conditioning didn't work in those Crown Vics, and it sucked. It absolutely sucked. But at that same time, the office didn't provide any body armor, nothing.
No.
If you wanted it, you had to buy it yourself. And I don't know, about a year in, I bought my own and ended up with my own body armor, but it was just too hot to wear half the time, and there was no requirement to wear it. So,
yeah, when I came on, I worked the first several years without any body armor on at all, and then unfortunately, we had a deputy that was killed, and they had armor at the office. It was just sitting there, and so then they started. Well, whoever wants a vest can put in for it and get one. And so I got it, but it was so squared, and it didn't bend. It didn't, I mean, it looked
it was
like
like military. It was like the old military flak jackets and shit.
No, it was not that bad, but it was a regular vest that went underneath. But because they were new and they were in the process of making them better, it was just
Right.
you could see it under the shirt, and it just looked like hell. So I wore it for a little bit and I got rid of it. And then I started wearing it again later on. And then I wore protection after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember being on FTO and one, and we had mentioned some stories off air about things that had happened, the gas pump thing. That was funny. And then how I got my nickname, Curly. So it was crazy. When you went through FTO, did you have the same kind of stuff going on that they did when I went through?
Yeah, I had a horrible FTO program, absolutely horrible. I started off at District 1, and my primary FTO absolutely hated the sheriff at that time. And it wasn't Arpaio, it was God be here, and hated him. And he was always, saying sheriff this, sheriff that, sheriff this, sheriff that. As a new employee, it was kind of, you got old. And so finally I said, you mean my uncle? And you should have seen the pucker up look, man. He just sat up and he's all like, oh, like, didn't know what to say. And I said, man,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding you. It's not my uncle. Well, after that, my gosh, this guy turned down every report I wrote. I'd get 10 reports a day because I was the only FTO. So they would hold everything for me up in East Mesa. And you know how East Mesa rocked.
Right.
And so I'd write those 10, turn them in, and the next day get 10 more. Then he'd kick 7 of them back. So now I've got 15 reports. I used to sit on my day off when I got off Friday, swing shift. I would be there until Saturday night graveyard, because they said you have to write everything before you go home. And so, and we didn't get paid for overtime either. It was all on my own dime.
Yeah, and Bill, you remember him, my buddy from Auto Theft and Different Day. He used to call it posse time when you're doing your reports on posse time, because there was no overtime, nothing. So you had to get your reports in on your own time.
Yep.
And they screwed a lot of people over back then for pay and different things. And but stuff got done. Stuff really got done. That told you the commitment that the deputies had at the time of fighting crime, of fighting bad guys, of getting shit done. Nowadays, there's a bunch of whiners.
Exactly. And if you can't compare the two today and what we went through in mentality or in what we were allowed to do. The mentality,
Right.
we wanted every single bad guy that was in our vicinity to be in jail. Period. That was the goal. Go out and find them and put them in jail. And then you had to take your stupid, not stupid reports. You had to take your reports along the way of a gas drive off, thefts, and all that stuff. But
one that I had to take, which was the dumbest one of all, I swear. Circle K at Power and University. There's one over there by the Rural Metro station. I don't know if it's still there. I don't know if Rural Metro is still there, but they had a bunch of kids come in and just, a mob of teenagers, and one of them walked out with a donut and didn't pay for it. And the sergeant was a brand new sergeant, had just been promoted. He had been in the academy class 1 week before mine. And so what I did when I got to the call, I go, "How much is a donut?" The guy goes, "Oh, it's like 79 cents or something." I go, "Here." I paid for it, get back. And then that sergeant said, "Where's the report?" I said, "I didn't take it. I paid for it. I paid out of my own pocket," because maybe he forgot. The kid forgot.
The civil matter now.
Yeah. And then he goes, "Yeah, well, go back and take a report." So I did go back and take a report. No suspect information, nothing. Just, it was crazy. A 79-cent donut report. And we were getting hit on some big shit. I mean, some, armed robberies, a lot of burglaries out there,
Yep.
Drugs, all kinds of shit. And a 79-cent donut, that stuck in my mind all these years.
I did one with a gas drive off. It was $1.25, and I paid for it. One report that really sticks in my mind, and I told every FTO that ever went on. I don't know if you'll remember it, but I was brand new, just off the FTO. I was up in New River, and this guy calls in and says, "Hey, car's missing." A friend of mine, she came over, brand new Faro, and she wanted to take it for a ride. And he goes, "Yeah, sure. We've been friends since kids." Well, she hasn't returned. It's been 4 hours. But I said, "Dude," I said, "she's out having a good time in your car." And he kept insisting that no, something's wrong. And I was already down paper, and I remember I was fuming. So I took the report. It was like two and a half paragraphs, and they were small.
Right.
6 months later, I'm looking for another report in the drawer over there, reports drawer. And I went, "I wonder what ever happened to that thing, man." So I looked up the number, and the file was this thick. She had been kidnapped,
holy shit.
sexually assaulted. And dude, my lousy little report that was probably about that much was in the very front. And I am so glad that I took that report. Can you imagine what had happened to me if I hadn't taken it? I entered in.
Yeah. Wasn't there another incident? I don't remember the deputy, but I remember it had to do with the stolen car, and it had to do with entering it into NCIC. It wasn't entered right away, and it ended up being taken from some guys down south that went into New Mexico, and they killed a couple.
Yep.
Held them against their, yeah. And that's the one thing. Even if it's the 79-cent donut report, take it, get it over with. It's not hard. Just do it and move on.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it leads to bigger things. Like when I was on light duty in District 3 after getting hurt, I had to work in admin in the office in District 3. And some guy came in. He had a stack of paperwork like that thick. And I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "Well, I want to file an identity theft report." I said, "Really?" And he showed me, and I called him in, and we sat down and I looked through it. And I go, "How did this happen?" He goes, I don't have any idea. He wasn't doing anything online or anything. It turned out because Arizona had that stupid law where they put on your registration your social security number because that's what they were using for your driver's license number. So they put it on your vehicle registration, your name, your address, your social security number as your DL. And a deputy on the west side had taken a report of a vehicle burglary, and they didn't ever noticed it was missing. That was missing, but it turned up that's what the catalyst was that led to the identity theft. And wow, so even the simplest of reports, and on that, you remember Jack Lane, why he's retired, our Sergeant Jack, Sergeant Don, the
Yep.
English professor who you couldn't get a report by.
Yeah.
And Sergeant Jack kicked a stolen vehicle report back for me. And it was a recovery of a stolen vehicle. And I said the column was cracked. That's all I said. It was like a Buick Century. The column was cracked. He gives it back to me. He goes, "You need to explain that like you're talking to a 5-year-old." He goes, "How was the column cracked? What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Think about it." And I went back and said, they used some sort of blunt object to bypass the key ignition thing by popping the plastic off, exposing the rack gear, and then they use that same blunt object to start the car. And I was detailed. And that one thing, the one thing that Sergeant Jack did, and Sergeant Don did to me too, was make it so you can write a detailed report, because when a detective looks at it, he doesn't have to go back. He doesn't have to go do additional shit to get the report done and get information. And it kind of stuck because that's the progression you saw when I went through after I was on training with you. I went through, I got the detectives, I got called to auto theft. I went back to patrol and back into detectives. And then, but that, those little tidbits from experienced guys go a long way. They really, really do. You're
Yeah.
looking like she's handing you a cup of coffee or something.
She was getting ready to. She got, we had back in the 90s, our biggest crimes that we dealt with were fraud, personal fraud, ID fraud, and
Right.
stolen. We were dealing with people stealing IDs in the early 90s when you had the laminated driver's license. They'd get
Yeah.
it and get all the ink off, the who it was to, and rewrite it and turn it
Yeah.
in.
What?
It was all the tweakers. I mean, we dealt with that all the time. Stolen vehicles, anything that was a GM product got got stolen. It was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. When I was off FTO and down in Sun Lakes, there was at least one or two a night getting stolen GMs.
Yeah. He froze on me.
Is it our internet?
I don't know if you can hear me, brother, but you froze. Uh-oh. I'm worried about me, and this thing's not even working.
I have to reconnect.
Yeah.
Curly dropped. Just stand by.
Is that him?
No, it's Cody. We can still see y'all live. We'll hold up notes. Hello? Hello?
Contact him and see what he needs me to do.
So are we what? Okay, we can't hear him anymore.
Hey, sorry, some computer nerd somewhere crashed me. Yeah, and I've never really liked computer nerds.
No worries. It happens.
Yeah, I just said poof, done. So, and you were still on, so I'm glad we're here. Anyway, I don't even remember where we're at. It's an old guy thing. Where were we?
It's still about the different crimes
Oh, oh,
in the early 90s.
yeah, the car theft.
Yeah.
Because it was everything from the late 80s to the early 90s in GM products, Pontiacs.
Especially Camaros.
Oh, yeah.
Camaros were going crazy. I got kind of a funny story on that one. There was a particular East Mesa criminal that everybody knew, and I think it was J Dub, using initials, but somebody drove down the back in the alley and they saw a vehicle in the yard with a tarp over it, and you could tell by the way it looked, you could tell it was probably a Camaro underneath there.
Right.
He jumps the fence, goes writes down the VIN number, goes back
Right.
or runs it, and it comes back stolen. Well, obviously we don't have PC to go in there and get it because of how he was able to come up with the number. So he calls in a fire at that house, and so fire was heading that way, and so we got to go with them. So when we pulled up, fire ran in the house telling everybody, get out, get out, get out. We ran in the backyard, go, oh look, there's a car back here, and came back stolen. So then we go up to the owners or the homeowners and go, hey, there's a stolen car back there. We'd like to talk. They go, well, we don't know anything about it. So you don't know anything about that car? And you're back, oh, we never seen it before. I don't know what you're talking about. I said, why don't you come back and look at it? And they're like, wow, I don't know where that came from. I said, well, I guarantee that, I guess you won't care if we take it off your hands. And they're like, no, I don't want that on my property. And we towed it and gave it back to the owner.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Stuff.
I mean, when I first got in there, stolen cars were that meth labs, meth, credit card fraud, identity theft. Those are the big things back then.
Yep.
And it was crazy, especially down in Sun Lakes. When I went down there, we had the res, and I never could teach those people down there that lived in Sun Lakes. Hey, the kids you're hiring to wash dishes in your country club are the ones doing this to you, and they never get it. And before I went to auto theft, I got so good at doing that down there. I drive over to, like, in phase one, I'd park next to one of the round roads. I can't even remember the names of them anymore, but I'd park over where you could see just around a little bit, and you'd see the lakes, the little lakes they had. You roll your windows down, and you'd listen, and you'd hear windows breaking. So you go to try to find it. You find a car with a broken window, but they had run off. And then you hear another one at another spot. They're in there looking. So it got pretty good at tracking that stuff down. And but yeah, and that was still at the time you were writing paper, handwriting it. Wasn't on a computer. You didn't have GPS. Had a Thomas Brothers map.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember when I went to District 3, they made me a training officer out there. And one day, I was getting older, so I had that Thomas Brothers map with the giant letters in it for guys that were getting older. And I get in the car, the guy would flip up the computer, go get ready to go 10-8. I'd say, shut that off, shut it. What? I said, you got a pad of paper? Well, no. I said, you're going to need a pad of paper. Here, I'll give you one. One of the little steno pads with the clip on it. Yep. And I said, you're going to write your calls down, handwrite them in your notepad. You're not going to use the computer. Oh, do you have a map? Well, no, I was using the computer. Here's a map.
Yep.
There you go. We're going to do the whole shift that way so you can get used to, if technology goes out on you, you won't get lost. And yeah, it was crazy. I mean, the stuff that guys do now, I don't know if they could survive without that technology, without GPS, without body camera, without tasers, without all that stuff.
They would have to learn how to redo everything. I was in auto too, and we used to do a lot of details down in Snaketown, south of Sun Lakes, all the time. And then we found out that the Indian PD was informing people that we were going to be out doing a detail, and so nothing would happen. We wouldn't get any stolen cars. So finally, we just left them out. I don't know how we got away with it, because you need to have the Indians there to be, to be on the reservation.
Well,
detail with DPS with Chandler, and I mean, we got into tons of pursuits out of that.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. And there's somebody that just commented on the show and said, Happy Father's Day. So it says Daddy Long Legs 44. So it may be somebody that works at the office that wants to remain anonymous. Happy Father's Day.
That's my son.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's remaining anonymous. Anyway, yeah, it was a lot different. I remembered a pursuit happening up north, like Abash's in Scottsdale. It wasn't a beer run per se. It was a full cart of liquor that they pushed out the store and loaded in a stolen car. And the both up north and down south, they went back and forth. If they're being chased up north, they'd go down south. If they were being chased down south, they'd go up north and lay low. Well, those guys in that stolen car, which I think it was a Buick Riviera, if I remember correctly, they came all the way down Arizona Avenue, 50, or what is that, 87?
87, yeah.
They'd come all the way down. They get chased. Other cops would join the chase. There'd be a whole long line of cop cars going. Then I would get in the chase towards the back end of it, onto the res behind like 20 other cars. We went out some canal road by the sod farms and then back in by some huge water tank. And it was almost like the Keystone Cops of the old days, because these guys drove this car into this giant field and started going back north. And I think Sergeant Don was my sergeant at the time, and he was listening to it, and I was just way in the back waiting. And when they went by, they turned to go back north. We had this long line of cop cars. These guys are driving right by us, so I'm following the line and watching these guys go that way. Nobody thought about cutting out, going out, stopping them, but they ended up getting stuck up by Price Road somewhere, and Chandler got involved, and our helicopter was involved. Yeah, those are the days when you could actually go after bad guys. You know, you could go put hands on them, take them to jail. Nowadays, they know that with monitors, and that's the other thing that I think kind of destroyed the sheriff's office was the monitors, because everything was an IA. Everything, every little complaint.
I was involved in about 150 pursuits, I would say, in my in my career at least, and then I was witness to, you're hearing them in other districts, and
right.
In the day there was a pursuit where there was a dead body found in the car that nobody found out if they'd gotten that pursuit. Another one was a lady was being taken out to the desert to be sexually assaulted and murdered. If we wouldn't have gotten a pursuit with that, then she would be dead. And there's just so many, but because you can't tell anybody how many crimes you stopped during your pursuit, that they just let it go. And that's insane. It's dangerous. It is. It's extremely dangerous. So if it's that dangerous that we can't do it, then we should be able to deploy deadly force to stop them, in my opinion. Because they are using, they're saying, oh, it's way too dangerous for you to do this. Okay, then let's stop it with a bullet. You can't have it both. You can't say that it's not that bad, but it's really bad, so you don't do it. Yeah.
And there's all those factors, and now it's like, they changed so much, and auto theft was like the gateway crime to other crimes. They steal a car because they're going to go do something else.
Yeah.
And they're not going to use their own car, to go murder somebody. And one of the things that I went through was when we used to go into Sun Lakes and go into East Mesa, Dreamland Villa, and different places and teach like auto theft prevention, me and Bill and guys from auto theft. And we would go and talk about all the different things you could do to prevent your car from being stolen. And a lot of the comments were, well, I got car insurance. Yeah, but you don't understand. When you make it easy for them to steal your car, they're going out and doing other crimes. Beer runs, liquor runs, drive-by shootings, all kinds of crap, murders. There's been, I think in the time that I've worked at the sheriff's office from when I started to after I retired, I think there's been 5 or 6 bodies found in trunks of cars that some of them were involved in pursuits. Some of them were left abandoned in a mart, in like a office plaza or something.
Oh, I've arrested people from everything from, I forgot my driver's license, so I didn't want to get a ticket. And they ran from me, to attempted murder. One of the ballsiest pursuits I ever was. The guy stole a Saab, and our cars weren't very fast usually, and it was in East Mason, and it was all over. I mean, I had no brakes left when it was done. Smoke's coming out of the hood, and this guy was wanted for attempted murder. He was a real bad guy.
Yeah.
And when we finally did the felony stop on him, he was going for a gun, but he realized when he looked up that I was standing there, and he's like, well, there's no way he's going to beat me to the punch, and
Yeah.
he gave up. But I mean, that started on an illegal right-hand turn. That was it. Illegal right-hand turn.
Yeah.
We're going over him and give him a warning, and off to the races we went.
Yeah. And that's like the majority of them. That's how they start out. It's a traffic offense. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy. Do you remember a bad guy? He actually just got put to death this last year on death row. His name was Aaron Gunches.
No, it's not.
I remembered him. I stopped him twice, charged him with illegal possession or prohibited possessor. He had a gun. And one other time I stopped him, he had illegal fireworks, something small. But that same guy, he had ended up after that committing a murder in Mesa somewhere, and it may have been a county island, and put on death row. And he just got this past year put to death. And I remember the name, so I was like, oh yeah, that's that guy out there over by, and I think I stopped him on Broadway by like 92nd Street or something like that. I remember the area because back then, now there's houses everywhere, but back then there were fields and different things. And, but yeah, you never know. Fireworks, and now he's a convicted murderer or put to death.
We were up in Fountain Hill. I was up in Fountain Hills, and it was, I maybe been on 2 years, maybe if that, and it may not have been that long, but we had a place right off of Shea. It's a dirt road that you took up, and you could sit up high on the hill and shoot radar down, and people couldn't see you because, our reflection on our cars, people could see as soon as their headlights hit it, and they'd slow down. So we would go up there, and me and my partner, and run radar when it got really, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, nothing was going on. Well, we get on Simplex, say, hey, we're going to go over there. He drives up first, and he checks out on a vehicle. So I'm like, oh, somebody's poaching, just joking. I pull up, and there's a station wagon there, and this guy's like 6'7". He's huge. He's got a woman with him, and all this stuff piled out on the side, and they were sleeping in the back of the station wagon. Well, my partner was telling them, hey, you guys can't sleep here. This is private property. Load your stuff up, go find someplace else, a hotel or something. Well, he runs them, and the guy gave a name like Jack Smith or something like that. And he came back with a hit on the car of John Jones, like that. So he looks up and he goes, hey, John. And the guy goes, what? And he goes, crap. Because he gave his name to something else. So he's looking down. He's behind the station wagon, and he's looking down inside the station wagon in the bed part of it, looks back up at me, looks back down, looks back up. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? So I put my hand on well, he finally comes around, he puts his hands up, we cuff him up. We call and find out, well, first of all, there were 4 guns laying right there. When I came around the corner and hooked him up, there's a shotgun, a rifle, and 2 handguns.
Yeah.
So when we called to confirm the warrants out of state, they were out of state warrants, like Arkansas or something. He was wanted for homicide. That was on America's Most Wanted. They actually did the case on America's Most Wanted, but because we caught him without that information, they didn't put it on there. But this guy was a really bad dude, and he was thinking about it. That's why he's looking down. He's looking at his guns, looking back at us, looking back, and he was thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's some crazy stuff. And it goes on today. Only cops are doing it different. You got some agencies that still do things the old-fashioned way and get shit done. But when you have big cities, big agencies, Phoenix, Mesa, Tempe, MCSO, they got the stupidest things. And there's probably guys there that work there that go, let us do our shit. Let us go get bad guys. Let us protect the public. And I don't know. What do you think of the changes today?
Well, I think, unfortunately, and this may not be the most politically correct, but I think that liberals have really caused a lot of problems. They don't like the fact they love the fact that they can cuss you out, but you can't say a single cuss word back at them. They don't. Some of them don't even like imprisonment on crimes. I mean, it's horrible. And so the departments, these big departments that don't want to get sued, start conforming to what UCL or the what was there? Not UCLA, but the liberal organizations want you to
ACLU.
ACLU. Yeah, they comply with whatever they say, and it ties our hands.
Yeah.
And money talks, and it always has. And as well as I do, because I've been sued, and I'm sure you have too, that something happens and that somebody wants to sue you, and even you didn't do anything, but they think they're going to get something. They'll at least get some kind of a settlement and get money out of it. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's the reason why they stop pursuits. Bad guy, kills somebody, and the family sues us.
Yeah.
Us, not the bad guy. Us, the guy that might stop them from running any further and going fast, and we're the ones that got sued.
Yeah, you remember, and I know you probably do, there was a stolen car from down in Casa Grande from like one of those Jiffy Lube places. The guy came up Arizona Avenue, 87, and got to about Willis Road. He was being chased by DPS. A lady whose son or husband was a cop. She was in the car by herself. She pulls out and gets T-boned and killed. DPS had asked for Chandler's help, and they didn't get involved. DPS got sued. Chandler got sued. They got sued for not getting involved. DPS got sued for being involved. So you just can't win. And, I think the legislators need to change some laws to make it so there's no civil recourse when you're trying to prevent something from happening, a crime or whatever.
Especially when it's not our fault. If a bad guy runs a light and hits somebody, that's his fault. If we do it, then it's our fault. Phoenix PD back in the 90s, or maybe it could have been early 2000. It's all a jumble for me. But they had 2 lawsuits going on at the same time, 2 of them. One of them, they pursued the guy, wrecked and hurt or killed somebody. The other one, they turned around and let him go because it was too dangerous and let him go. And they sued, and the same lawyer had both cases.
Wow.
Both cases to court against Phoenix, and Phoenix lost them both.
Wow.
What
We
got
a couple. Yeah, we got another couple comments up that popped. One is from Cole Cummings. You can get away with everything on Facebook. It says nowadays, Pinnell and DPS are the only ones that let you do it the old way. And that's true. DPS still does things the old way, although they did get their hands slapped many years ago when they were doing what was alleged to be profile stops of a single guy driving a rental car. If he was going east on the 40 at this time, he's running drugs. If he's going west, he's running money. And they got slapped a little bit. And again, it's the ACLU. It's, and it's almost like they protect criminals. The ACLU does.
Oh, absolutely.
And Daddy Longlegs says nobody points the finger at the criminal. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody. It's like they don't have any responsibility in it. It's either going to be blame the victim or blame the cops, and that's all bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Well, here's the thing that gets me is that as a police officer gets behind a car and tries to stop it, everybody knows red lights and siren means pull over to the right. That means everybody. It doesn't mean, oh, if you feel like it, you have to pull it over. So you're trying to stop them. You're chasing them down the road, not chasing them, but you're following them because they're running. You can't chase anybody until they run first. And so you're at fault. So how would you like to be sitting at a light, see a car get ready to run a red light? You honk your horn at it to warn them, because that's what I'm doing with my sirens, warning, hey, pull over. And they go out and get killed and they sue you. Well, you honk your horn, you're right behind them.
Yeah.
The cops,
yeah.
right now. That's insane.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing, and now today, everybody has a cell phone, everybody's got cameras. And that's the other thing. You see a cop fighting with a guy in the middle of the road all by himself, and there's somebody filming him, not helping him, not doing shit. And they don't think that's a bad guy. The cop has a gun. If that cop loses that gun, guess what? The bad guy's going to want to run away and take the gun, shoot people. It just doesn't make any sense.
40%, when I came on, 40% of all law enforcement were killed with their own weapon, which means the suspect was unarmed during the first contact. They didn't have it until they took it from the police officer. And that's huge. And they wonder why they get, somebody got unarmed, got shot. Well, he's trying to take my gun.
Mm-hmm.
They got shot. And it's insane. It made me sick. I saw one just the other day where the sky officers fighting, and several men walked by and didn't do nothing.
Well, there's no such thing as men anymore. They're all millennial, Gen Xers or Gen Zs now, whatever it is, and they have man buns. They have their fingernails painted. They can't change a tire on a friggin' car. They don't know. They don't know how to do that. And in fact, I think it was on Joe Rogan or something. They were talking about there's a thing going on where men today have less testosterone at a younger age than us older guys.
Yes.
And it's so stupid. So stupid. We need to get these people they call men now and actually man them up and let them do shit,
Here's the problem, Curly. When I came on, I was in the police academy in 87. They asked, how many in here have never been in a fight or punched in the face? Half my class raised their hands. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. How did you go through life without getting punched in the face at least once somewhere? I was in the military, I boxed, so I've been hit numerous times and had a few physical altercations, and stuff like that. But if you're just some advice to anybody that might listen or hear this thing, if you've never been in and don't know how to defend yourself, do not be a police officer. Do not.
Yep. That's a fact.
You're going to get yourself hurt or killed or somebody else.
Oh, yeah. And we've actually, without naming names, have had stories of that actually happening at the sheriff's office.
Absolutely. Guys that are afraid to death to get into a physical altercation And they say, well, that same person ended up in a shooting later on. Yeah, it's something different. When somebody's pulling a gun, you're going to automatically pull yours and shoot. But when somebody
Yeah.
wants to pull up, it's completely different. And these people freak, they freeze, they don't know what to do. And I'm telling you, if you don't know how to defend yourself, go be something else. You know, there's no
Yeah.
shame.
Take up yoga.
Yeah, there's no
Take
shame.
it. Yeah.
I
Take up yoga.
that said, you know, after they made it, they actually made it off the FTO, and they go, you know what, this is not my gig. I don't really, and I'm like, you know what, absolutely, you know, that you should be proud that you had enough balls to walk away, because it's not easy.
No, it isn't. There, another comment just came in. They definitely treat them with kindness at the academy. No cursing, no touching the recruits, and when they hit the FTO, they're scared to death. And you know, the same thing applies to the military, because when you went through boot camp, you know, I don't know, you know, even me, when I went through boot camp in the Navy back in '77, they they yelled at you, they screamed at you, they smacked you, all kinds of shit. Now it's like, oh no, you carry a little paper in your pocket to say your feelings were hurt. Oh, here, fill it out, drill sergeant, or fill it out, company commander. You hurt my feelings.
Yeah, when
And
I went in the Army, and they weren't supposedly, quote unquote, allowed to hit you. They just did
yeah,
it outside, where you know, where nobody could see it. They still did it, but they
yeah,
cuss you out up your face, and it's one side down the other.
yeah. Well, you know, kind of like in Full Metal Jacket,
Yeah,
get on your knees, choke yourself, not with your hands, with my hand.
yep,
and
exactly.
and you need more of that stuff in police academies. You need it so they're that you teach, and it isn't whether you're a man or a woman going into police academy. It's whether you can do the job or not, whether you have the mindset to be able to go after somebody, chase them, climb over a fence, drive a car at 100 miles an hour, get out and chase them again, and get in a fight if you have to, and make the arrest. You know, because it's not that easy to do the job. If it was that easy, you could get paid really well and go home at the end of the day without ever lifting a finger.
Let me tell you something. I got in a fight in Orchard at Santan and Power. This guy was DUI, pulled him over. He went back into the orchards, and I go back there with him. It turns out he gave me false name and stuff, and tried to run me over with his car. When I was out the car, he put it in drive and took off, and tried to run me over. Well, I ended up kicking out a 905, which is I need some help. And my backup, Curly,
Yeah.
came from Guadalupe.
Oh wow.
I was at San Power,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
heard 127 checked on and said, I'll be en route from Guadalupe. And I went, you know what, Mike? You're on your own.
yeah. Well, my first occupied stolen vehicle on Arizona towards the end of the shift, and I was like late car or something. I was down south. I was down by Ocotillo and Arizona Avenue, and I stopped to check on a guy who's broke down at the side of the road. Are you 1035? And I'm like, negative. And then next thing you know, nobody else. Chandler wasn't there, DPS wasn't there, nobody. And I see, and I'll use his name because he was a great reserve guy, Bill Miller. He was scooting. I could see red and blue lights coming up from the north heading south, and I was like, oh, here we go.
Bill was awesome. He rode with me all the time.
Yeah.
Bill was a true deputy. I know that he used to work for Tempe, but he was a true deputy. Blue. He was a great guy, great man.
Oh yeah, he was awesome. And we got a couple more comments and a question. It doesn't matter what academy in the state, Mesa, Gilbert, MCSO, they're all soft. And then we have one that says, so what are what we, it's a little, it says, what do we do to get these boys up to speed to get the shit done? And then the crazy part, Mike, is to this day, the area of Power in Sandtown, your backup is still coming from, it's still coming from Gilbert, I think.
Yeah, I hold of this guy Curly. I fought him from the time that I said I need help until my backup from Guadalupe screamed around the corner. I heard him, I heard that siren come. I saw him scream around the corner, and I got the last cuff on him, and we were both bleeding, and my shirt tail out. I was filthy dirty because we were fighting on the dirt, and
right.
I was able to beat the guy because I was in good shape, and it was funny because we'd fight and he'd stop, and I'm breathing, and all of a sudden we'd go again, and then he'd stop, tried to catch his breath. I stopped to catch my breath, and just kept going like that until I get that last damn cuff on him.
Yeah, I actually had one in East Mesa where I stopped the car, graveyard, obviously. The guy was giving me false names, and then a fake name he gave me. He was sitting in the passenger front seat. The fake name he gave me was, I ran it. It had a bunch of warrants attached to him, and I go to open up the door, and I say, you need to step out. And he goes, no, I got my ID right here. And he goes and reaches under the seat, and I'm not letting him do that. So I latch onto him and swing him out, and then the fight's on. He's elbowing me, and I don't know if you remember it. JW and Dale came out, and the guy was just pounding, going to town on me. My radio went flying. I couldn't get out on the radio. I had blood on my shirt because he was elbowing where my badge was, and it cutting his elbow and bleeding all over my shirt. And when I finally got up, he was running. His girlfriend was still in the car. I didn't know he was going to act that way. Bullshit. And so finally everybody got up. She was suspended. She was going to jail. She ID'd who he was. And the guy lived over in Tempe by Guadalupe. And Kevin, we went there the very next night, knocked at the door, and we got him, drug him out of the house in the carport, put handcuffs on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to trial and was convicted. What's that?
Kevin was one of my best partners. We worked together in East Mesa, and we worked together. Basically, we were early car. I was early car south, he was early car east, but I always went out east because there was a hot tone every time it started our shift. And then we worked the town of Guadalupe together. He's a great guy. Great.
He was creative on stuff because, what's funny is I worked quad one night, and remember the old fire station, little PD holding station we had? And I was sitting in there, and it was the start of the shift, and I was trying to get paperwork done so I could go play. And I hear this knock at the door. So I put my hand down on my gun, open the door, peek out, and this guy goes, hey, I'm here to check in. I go, what do you mean check in? So I open the door, and he goes, I'm on sheriff's office probation. I got to check in. I go, oh, you did? Who did that? And Kevin, I guess he caught the guy sniffing paint and told him he had to check in. And I said, okay, what's your name, birth date? And you're on, I'm going to put the date down, put it on this note and put it up on the bulletin board that you checked in. That way, Deputy Kevin can see that you checked in.
J-Dub did that all the time. Put people on
Yeah.
probation out in East Mesa, and you'd run them and go, "You're not on probation." Yeah, I am. J-Dub said, I'm like, "Oh, okay, you're on J-Dub probation then."
Yeah, we that was a lot of fun, believe it or not, because you actually got to take care of stuff. You had more discretion to do things. Nowadays, I feel so bad for them guys working because they don't have the discretion. They it's just crazy. And it shouldn't be that way because the ultimate goal is to put bad guys in jail, rightfully put them in jail and
Yep.
protect the public.
That's the
And
only.
you're not allowed.
That's the only reason why you should join and be a cop, is if you want to put bad guys in jail. If you don't want to put bad guys in jail, you just want to be a supervisor, or you think you're good enough to go up the ranks without being a real cop, then stay at home and don't join up. We need real
Yeah.
cops. There are guys that really do the job, so that when we have a supervisor, he knows what my job is. I don't need somebody as a supervisor who has no freaking idea how to be a cop and never arrested anybody. And there's
Yeah.
tons, every department has them. Every department.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to bring back another movie thing that I really like. Clint Eastwood in The Enforcer. He got sent down to personnel and he had to go through an oral board.
Yep, I
And
remember.
what was that gal's name? Tyne Daly or something, the actress.
Yes.
He's in there leaning against a pencil on the desk. Harry, do you have any questions for the applicant? Yeah, how fast can you run the 40? And then and he goes, well, maybe you can tell us of your most notable misdemeanor arrest. Why, or felony arrest? Well, I haven't had a felony arrest. Or maybe you can tell us about your misdemeanor arrest. Well, I haven't had one of those either. Then what gives you the right?
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of truth to that. And it still resonates today.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not doing, if you're not doing cop shit and you think it's like what's on TV, then you need to find another profession.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and then they there's a comment about body cameras, a curse and a blessing nowadays. I definitely did away with discretion when it comes to dealing with people. Yeah, and the discretion part, the body camera part, that's a double-edged sword in its way, because now the ACLU and some defense attorney groups and different things are out against it because they're wanting to limit the use of it because it puts their client in a bad light. And
exactly.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for.
Well, it's turned out that it's really helped police in some instances, and more than not what it seems like. The way we used to do business when I first came on is a complete and utter difference than what we do now. And I couldn't be a cop now. I just absolutely couldn't be one. But cameras, I like the dashboard camera.
Yeah.
But the personal camera, I don't like.
Yeah, the body camera. Well, it has its moments, but you need to be able to do a little better with it, because when we had them and we had the ones on the glasses, remember?
Yep.
And then they put it down here. The ones on the glasses kind of work because they see what you see, but the ones down here don't see you turn your head and see a threat over to your left or your right. And
they go flying. Fight.
What's that?
The thing goes flying off, and then now you got a cord with this brick on the end of it. The guy can use as to choke your ass out if he needed to.
Yeah.
It's I like the dashboard. Hook me up, wire me so that you can always hear what I say, and do the dashboard thing. But the body camera, I'm not a fan of. And,
well, the body cam kind of helps when you go into a house, or you park your car out front and you go into a house.
Yeah.
And I think it actually bit a guy a deputy a while back because it was a death investigation, and he
I remember
he
that.
yeah, and some missing money or something. Wow.
Hmm.
And it's like, dude,
Dumbass stole the money while he was on camera.
yeah, it was there. And then when he turned back, it wasn't there.
Yep.
Whoa, magic trick. You know, that reminds me of another time where we were doing that click it or ticket detail down in Sun Lakes. And some guy got stopped and he goes, you got, and he started with the quota thing, going off on the deputy about the quota. And he goes, you guys, I hope you made your quota. Well, not quite. You know, I'm working on getting a toaster,
Yep.
and then we can write as many tickets as we want. You know.
Well, I never enjoyed doing tickets. The most tickets I ever wrote in a month was like 15, and I always got in trouble. Why don't you write more tickets? Why don't you write more tickets? I'm out looking for bad guys. If I stop mom and her kids in a car and she's speeding or not wearing her seatbelt, hey, slow it down, put your seatbelt on. I didn't have to write her a ticket. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. Well, now you lost that discretion. You lost that discretion because you make a traffic stop. Remember, we'd make a traffic stop on somebody in East Mesa. Hey, slow it down. Have a nice day.
Yep.
You stop a guy and it's a well-known that we had. Hey, you got your license on you? Or, you know, you were in tune with what's going on around you. You had like the one guy that we were talking about, Mr. Kovac. What a transformation, but he was a regular. I'd always stop him. He was suspended. He'd always comment, hey, I'm doing 10 years in prison, 10 days at a time for his suspended. But then it just seemed to elevate. But for those out there that don't know him, he actually turned his life around. He really did. You wouldn't recognize him from the days past when he was doing his nefarious activities, you know?
Yep. He was a taxer out in East Mesa, which means that he went and robbed all the meth dealers of their money and their meth. And he did that, and then most of them wouldn't call the police because they were selling drugs anyway. So
yeah. He's been shot a couple times.
Yep.
I mean, he was a badass, no doubt about it.
Dealt with it many times. Yep.
But now he's changed. He's totally changed.
What? And we talked about this before, and I'm a firm believer in this, Curly. The man said he found God. I believe that 100% because God's the only one that would have changed that dude. He was bad bone. He was crooked. He was a heavy meth user. I mean, if you looked up the word criminal, his picture would be there. That's how.
Yep. It'd be next to a few other people from out there.
Absolutely. But he said he found the Lord. Hallelujah. I'm glad he did. You know.
Yeah. Well, it took some other steps besides that because he moved out of that neighborhood, never went back. He made a commitment to himself and to God that he was going to change his life, and he's doing it. And for those out there that have, you know, for those cops out there that are doing the job still, don't give up. Keep doing it because it eventually pays off. It pays off when you can actually change somebody like Tracy Kovac. And in fact, when he spoke to my squad, and that's funny because a lot of them are the young guys for now, and they're rolling their eyes as he's speaking, and they didn't know how badass he really was. And he goes, you know, keep doing your job. He told them, do your job, stay with it, don't give up.
Well, people in East Mesa were terrified of him.
Yeah.
Because he was always armed, always riding a stolen Harley.
Or
and
parts of a stolen Harley on it.
and he didn't have a problem with whipping your ass or putting a gun in their faces, either one.
Yeah.
And so he was a bad dude back then. Like I said, I had many run-ins with him. Not gonna go into him because not all of them were by policy. So
Yeah, well, the bottom line, and here's the other things that some of the younger cops today need to understand. You need to do your job. Complaints are going to come in. Everybody, if you're not doing your job, you're not getting a complaint.
correct.
And if you're doing your job, you're going to get some complaints. You'll get through them. Still do your job. Don't give up. Do it right. Stick with it. Promote if you want to promote. Do what you need to do. And if you do promote, cover your guys.
Yes.
Always cover your guys. Because what was told to me a long time ago, you know how a sergeant's patch looks, right?
Yeah.
3 bars.
Of course.
It's a roof. It's supposed to be a roof that protects the people that are under you. And that's how it was explained to me. In fact, I think it may have been Sergeant Don that told me that, because he came to my promotion ceremony. And you got to do that. You got to, if you promote, don't forget where you came from. Don't forget that there are other guys out there that are doing the job like you were doing, and stick up for them. Teach them. If you learn something new, share your knowledge. And it works wonders, because, you know, a lot of times you were a detective, so was I. A lot of times guys wouldn't share information or how to do stuff. They would, once you got into detectives, you're on your own. There were some guys that would share, like Detective Steve. He would share, he would mentor. Sergeant Don would mentor people. But for the most part, the other guys didn't give a shit and wouldn't tell you their secrets or how to do an investigation and stuff. You had to study, read books, learn it, and then follow it.
Yeah, we used to share asshole books. We had our little asshole books with the little guy and what he did, and I would go to whatever partner, Kevin or J-Dub or whoever, and say, hey, you got any new ones? And I'd make photocopies and stick them in my book. You know, it wasn't just who I arrested, but I wanted to know who anybody arrested that was in the area.
Yeah.
And then plus the FI cards that we used to have to fill out. I caught a major fraud guy because of a deputy stopped a car. This guy was asleep. His wife was driving. He interviews her, talks to her, and asks who he is, gets his name, lets them go. Then he runs and comes back with numerous bad checks, priors. And so I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, that's something I need to hang on to. About 6 months later, we're getting inundated with bad checks.
Yeah.
That FBI or the FI card out, and I looked at it and I went, holy crap, it's the same dude. Knew exactly where it was at, you know, and I went and picked him up.
Yeah, well, you know, and that's the other thing. Deputies or cops, for the most part, get a little lazy. They don't fill out FI cards or do that kind of thing. And whether it's a policy in their agency or that kind of thing. And that's where the ACLU comes in, because ACLU went after LAPD a few years ago for their thing they had a problem with was keeping data on people that haven't committed crimes. Well, I hate to break it to you, they have committed crimes, and now this kind of keeps the data so that if there's a kid that's abducted or raped, or a woman raped or bank robbed or any of that shit in that general area, you go through the FI cards and you can get a short list of suspects. And who is that? That guy in New York? Was it the Son of Sam guy that got caught over a parking ticket?
He has a couple parking tickets that they found him. Yep.
Yeah,
It's that simple.
yeah,
That's not DNA, not a fingerprint, witness, a stupid um, parking ticket can get
yeah,
you named for stuff because people don't understand. We didn't always have DNA. You
no,
know, DNA this, DNA that, fingerprints. Like, we were lucky to get fingerprints on somebody. There was no DNA, so you had to do everything. I mean, you had to pound the street, you get information from people to solve crimes back then, and not look at a stupid video. Because nowadays, if you don't have a video, they don't want to hear about it. You don't have a
yeah,
video of CSI didn't come out. My ass. We did our own fingerprints and photographs.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, well, we ran over a little bit, but we did have a little technical issue on my end. It just some computer nerd somewhere that I cussed at in high school or at the help desk is haunting me. So, with that said, um, it was a pleasure having you here.
I enjoyed it immensely, Curly. It's been a while since we got to talk. I appreciate you giving me a call, checking on how I was doing. It was nice to hear from you. It's nice to go down memory lane.
Yeah,
I wish you all the luck in the world in this podcast. I hope it goes through and does what you want it to do for you.
yeah. Well,
I'm retired in Texas, and I have no. I'm good. The only thing that I would get involved in nowadays, really quick, is these missing kids.
yeah,
That's the only thing. These kids that come up missing and they're being exploited. I don't know why, but I had an act for finding people. That was my thing. I could find anybody I was looking for.
yeah.
So
That's kind of what I think I learned it and got that skill level from you because when I went down to GID, I used to help the homicide guys find people that they needed, and there was one triple homicide that they worked on that they couldn't find the witness to the shooting. They had his name, and that was it, just his name.
mhm.
So I did my thing, used NICB, used some other things, actually contacted DES for jobs, and I found him within a half an hour. He was working a construction job up in North Phoenix. So I said, "Hey, I found him. Can you go?"
Yep. I lost him.
Like you're totally out. Probably because you went over.
Yeah, I lost it for a second. It's doing the computer ghost bullshit. Anyway, I drove up there. He was just getting off work. I went and talked to him. I go, "Hey, do you remember being involved or witnessing something 2 years ago?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, the detective never called me back. And I go, "Well, they want to talk to you now. Would you come down with us? You can follow me down." So he got in his truck and he followed me all the way to GID, and they were like shocked that I found him.
When I was in GID auto theft, me and my partner JV were the only people that they sent out when they wanted, had PC for arrest on homicide, and we got every single one of them. I mean, all of them. Anytime they made it here, and they thought it would take us like weeks to find the guy. We'd find him that day and bring him in. They're like, "Ooh, we're not really ready for this. Then why did you send me out there?"
Yeah, if you don't, it's like what they used to say: if you don't want the answer to the question, don't ask the question.
But we got them all every single time, and it was great.
Yeah.
That was my best jobs.
Hey, for the people out there that don't know our connection, being Sergeant McGhee we go way back. He was a fill-in FTO, I mentioned. He was also my sergeant for a short time. And when my father passed away, I don't even remember the year now because it's been some time. We had a little wake at my sister's house because guess what? I'm Irish. And we were sitting around the house and there was a knock at the door. I had the day off. I had like 24 hours off because it was in town. And I had the day off. There's a knock at the door. And it's this man right here, Sergeant McGhee, coming over to give his condolences and everything. The only person at the sheriff's office that did that for my family, for my dad. And for those that don't know, and I think Mike knows, my dad was a Mesa cop back in the 60s. And you talk about when cops really took care of business, especially Mesa PD. I got a picture of my dad hanging up here.
Nice.
He's in uniform at a parade. It's in the Mesa Tribune, and I'm standing next to him holding his hand at a parade. I'm only like
That's awesome.
8 years old, and it says Officer Flanagan and his little cowboy helper. Well, that was me. I even have his patch and his old card, ID card, and the patch is different than Mesa uses now. And I remember booking somebody in District 1 when they had that jail open. And there was a Mesa cop in there, a female. And I looked at her patch, and it's way different now. And I said, hey, I got one of those. I got a patch. It was my dad's. It looks a lot different than yours now. Oh, really? What's the difference? I said, there was a police car chasing a bad guy. You don't have that on yours now. And she kind of looked at me, gave me this like blank face. And other deputies that were in there were laughing. But that's the truth, you know? And yeah, well, anyway, this man right here meant a lot to me, means a lot to me. He was a good cop. He did a lot of good things. He put a lot of bad guys in jail. And if you ever get a hold of Tracy, he'll tell you stories too. And Tracy's been on our show. I wanted to say thank you, Mike, for coming on the show. This next Sunday is actually going to be kind of cool. I'm trying to work the details out, but it's supposed to be two veterans from the UK, military veterans, and they're going to be talking about what's going on in the UK now, including Ireland, Scotland, and in Europe with all the riots and the flood of illegal immigration and refugees, and the problems that they're having. And, you know, thank God we got a president that we do that's taking care of business for that. And our leftists in this country don't like him, but he's taking care of the country, and he's taking care of the law enforcement officers in this country, and he's taking care of the citizens by protecting them
Absolutely
from this crap.
Well, if you get these people, you're going to need subtitles because I can never understand a word in English.
Oh yeah, especially if they're from like right in London and they're it'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll be really cool, and they're probably going to have some really good information about what's going on, different things like that, their perspective. Because both of us here, we're veterans. We're also retired law enforcement. We've seen it. And I think that these guys will give an interesting perspective because
absolutely
it'll be cool.
Well,
anyway,
was an honor to be on your show. It was an honor to show up at your dad's wake. I appreciate you calling me up and asking about me. And I enjoyed this a lot. Thank you.
Well, we got to do it again. We remember I said I wanted to do a Hollywood Squares thing with like what is that? 3, 6, 9 cops from anywhere in the country. And if you're hearing this and you're a cop and want to come on the show, we're going to do like a Hollywood Squares thing. And I may even reach out to one of the companies around here, like Tombstone Tactical or Proforce, and see if they'll pony up a prize for the winner of that show, where we ask the questions about stupid things, like what was the craziest thing you ever had to seize as evidence? And just offhand, real quick, the craziest thing I had to seize was a thing that was shoplifted from the Castle Boutique in East Mesa, and it was a penis pump. And I arrested the guy. It was crazy, and it went to court. And there's a story behind that, and we'll have to talk about it some other time. But I mean, you see the weirdest shit as a cop.
Well,
you see the worst.
I'm
what's
sorry.
that?
I said, just make sure you get real cops to be on there, and that's what counts.
Nobody under 45. No cops under 45. I want some guys on there that are seasoned, that are retired. Retired cops would be even better because they don't have to worry about an IA. In fact, one of my old intros, it talked about it, and we can talk freely because we don't have to worry about that shit anymore. Anyway, it was a pleasure. It's fun. If you guys like this, share it, comment. We've had some comments. In fact, one just popped up. UK is burning right now. I wish I could support UK and Ireland personally. Well, I'm sure you can. There's probably some GoFundMe thing out there for it or something, but for this, it'll be an interesting show next week. Tune in, like the page. If you don't know how to get to me on YouTube, X, Facebook, Rumble, any of the other platforms, go to my website, realamericanblue.com. It has all the links. I'm a little slow at updating the website, and I want to apologize to Lieutenant Bronco Hammer. That's his alias. My academy lieutenant, that he's an author now, and he's wrote some articles to post on the website, and I want to do that. We're still trying to get other guests like Liz Collins to come back on. She wants to. We just got to schedule time. There's some other people we're lining up, and it should be pretty good. So anyway, thanks again, Mike. It was fun if you hang out just for a second. See you, folks.